Bigfoot is not just big in stature. For some, it's also big business. There's long been a thriving economy built around the legend. Of course, we're a part of that, but we try to get things right. So when we heard an account of a man who said he killed Bigfoot, we had to investigate.
September 6th, 2012 in San Antonio, Texas. Rick Dyer, a self-proclaimed Bigfoot tracker, has set a trap for the elusive beast after he heard of a 911 call reporting the sighting of a large hairy animal devouring a deer in the woods.
I wanted to attract him, so I went out and got deer urine and pork ribs, and I hung the pork ribs on a tree. I scattered the deer urine all under the tree, because Bigfoot is attracted to deer. And in the middle of the night, Bigfoot came back to eat the pork ribs, and I jumped out of the tent with my firearm and I shot at him a couple of times.
Rick initially claims he shot and killed Bigfoot, and soon thereafter, he releases these shocking photos to prove it. The images appear to show a frozen body of a deceased adult Bigfoot. You can see a face, lips, and in this wider shot, a full body covered in fur. Rick claims the animal is 8 feet tall, 4 feet wide, and weighs about 800 pounds. One photo also purports to show a long sternal scar allegedly made when the creature was autopsied at an undisclosed college in Washington state. Rick nicknames the creature Hank and takes the corpse on a national tour, charging people to view the body under plexiglass in a wooden coffin, and eventually pulling in close to $50,000. Field researcher Cliff Barrickman says that he's not surprised by where it all began. Apparently, Bigfoot is really big in the Lone Star State.
Texas is not generally thought of as Bigfoot habitat, but it absolutely is. They have a distribution over the continent very similar to that of black bears. They have the same needs as Sasquatches do. Eastern Texas gets a ton of rain from the Gulf of Mexico coming north. The more rain an area gets, the more Bigfoot reports come out of that particular area.
Reports date back to 1924, when the state's Folklore Society published a story about the strange case of the wild woman of Navidad.
The indigenous people of the area certainly knew about the Sasquatches that they lived among. When white settlers started coming into the area, they also ran across Sasquatches, and they reported them as wild men or wild women. And you can read newspaper reports and from settlers from as early as the 1920s or even the late 1800s.
But as we know, there's a difference between reports and proof.
There were red flags going up around Rick's claims almost immediately. Perhaps the biggest was that he has a history of hoaxing, most notoriously in a 2008 incident in which he and another man claimed to have found a Bigfoot corpse in Georgia. That turned out to be a frozen Halloween costume. The folks who consider themselves serious Bigfoot researchers take offense to that kind of fakery. So let's see what they have to say about this.
Anthropologist Kathy Strain believes Bigfoot exists, but she's doubtful this is it.
What I find problematic is that he says he shot it with a shotgun several times, and yet there's no evidence of that on the body.
Wildlife biologist Stephanie Schuttler also notes that something about the face just doesn't add up under close examination.
I don't understand why there's all this chapping around the eyes and the lips look extremely chapped. It looks like it would live in a really cold area. The fact that this was supposedly shot in southern Texas, it's even stranger.
But Schuttler has an even bigger issue with how it's been preserved.
It looks almost like the eyes are glued shut. It just doesn't look like anything from the natural world. It reminds me of a Hollywood costume.
Professor of Anatomy and Anthropology Jeff Meldrum, perhaps the world's most famous Bigfoot believer, agrees with Schuttler about the discrepancies in the face, and then some.
The brow was quite high. It had a high forehead, these everted lips, this pug nose, these almost cherub cheeks. It was just such a funny looking depiction that did not seem in any way to comport with the many eyewitness descriptions and the sketches of Sasquatch.
For Meldrum, it's clear that not only is this creature not Bigfoot, it's a fabrication that lacks any backbone.
It was literally just a stuffed mannequin.
Our verdict? This is just another hoax. Rick may have provided photos of his alleged creature, but he never produced the results of his autopsy. This may have netted him some quick cash, but serious researchers say it was also a setback for their work and the reputation of the entire community.